All right, welcome back, everyone. Our new segment for this week is going to be called our Audible. So basically, what we're rolling with is Kadin and I are going to pick a team that we think is going in not the best direction. We're going to pick a team, and we're going to act as though we're the GMs. We get to pick a new direction for this franchise. So this week we're going to be calling an audible for the New England Patriots. We think that they're not heading in a great spot. So Kadin, walk us through this audible. What are we doing first here?
Yeah, so first of all, this is a pretty heavy first audible for us. We managed to pick one of the worst teams in the league right now, so go us. We should have audibled for the Chiefs and just said, we're going to do nothing, and we're just going to keep continuing. But yeah, so New England, obviously not projected to be one of the best teams this season, but there's a lot of things that you and I really disagree with that they're doing right now. Obviously, there's some things you can't control, like guys in the draft, some guys not being there, some guys not wanting to play for you because you're a horrible team. But there's some things that they can control that they're not doing. One of those things is their quarterback battle. They obviously drafted Drake May 3rd overall in the draft this year, and it's coming out that he's not starting the season, and he might not see the field much at all this season. Their quarterback one is projected to be Jacoby Brissett, who, if you remember a couple years ago, he was the quarterback for the Browns up until the point of Deshaun Watson returning. So he was a respectable quarterback, but Drake May is a very different type of quarterback than Jacoby Brissett. Drake May is a sleepy, very mobile quarterback. He can run, he can take hits, but he is a lot more skilled than Jacoby Brissett is. And I don't really understand why you spent such a high pick on him just to sit him. I know some teams do this, but that's when you have a great player for them to sit behind. Jacoby Brissett isn't one of those guys that I think you should be sitting behind. But then in the same breath, you're going to say, we're going to sit this guy for a year. But then in the preseason game, they played him for a total of 3 plays. So he's not getting the preseason reps. He's not getting the first team reps in practice, and he's not going to get the NFL season reps. So he's literally just there, and I really don't like how they're handling that situation. They're giving Joe Milton more reps than their number 3 overall pick. Joe Milton they drafted in like the 5th or 6th round this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you don't want to toss a guy out there that isn't playing well. You know, you don't want to fall into the sunk cost fallacy where you're like, well, we drafted him so high, like we have to play him. And I get that. Like I get that you don't want to do that. But at the same time, you want to do your research. And if you didn't do your research enough to know, like the rest of us fans did, that you shouldn't be drafting him that high. Like he really isn't going to be all that. And looking like he isn't. So that's not a great look from the Patriots. And we all know that last year it was really bad. They had such a terrible offense. Their defense is the only thing that carried them through. And a big part of that was the fact that Mac Jones couldn't get the ball around. Okay, now you have a new quarterback room. Maybe they help out a little bit. Okay, but now you also need guys to catch the ball. And I get it.
They don't have that
either. I get that, like, if a guy isn't doing what he needs to do, you should just get rid of him. But at the same time, if you don't have anyone to catch the ball, why are you cutting guys like Juju? Like, I get it. He is way past his prime, okay? Everyone really thought that Juju was going to be the second coming of Antonio Brown in Pittsburgh, and he just wasn't. He fell off the map really quick and really hard, and now he's getting cut from teams. So if he's not doing his job, I get it. But at the same time, you really need to be bolstering that wide receiver room because you don't have anyone catching the ball for you, and you need a veteran voice in that locker room. So that's just one more thing that the Patriots are really fumbling on here.
Mm-hmm. And then right along with that, you cut Juju. You already have a very slim wide receiver core. Fortunately for you, there's a very, very good wide receiver who's only been the talk of the entire NFL offseason, who there's been many talks of you guys trading for him. His name is Brandon Ayuk. Oh, but wait, here we go. And I don't know if that's a Brandon Ayuk not wanting to go to you. I've heard, well, obviously we've heard many things. It could be Brandon Ayuk doesn't want to go to you, but it also could be very well that you guys pulled out of that trade. You don't want to pay up. In the NFL, you're going to have to pay up to get guys. So when you see a trade, a lot of times where if Patrick Mahomes would get traded today, he would get traded for so much But you know what? That team wouldn't care because that team that's trading for him is getting a superstar. If you're a team, especially like the Patriots, you're already terrible. It's not like you have a ton of young assets that you love. Like you are starting from ground zero. I would say they are at ground zero right now. So trading that,
Hmm.
you don't go any lower than what you're at right now. You just start moving up. I think that they should do all they can to get Ayuk. Pay him all that he wants. You need an alpha. You have not had a superstar wide receiver since, if you want to call Julian Edelman a superstar wide receiver, I guess we can have that conversation. But if you want to call him that, you can. But if not, then you haven't had a superstar since Gronk, and he was a tight end. So throw all of your eggs in the basket. Go get that wide receiver because right now your number one wide receiver is Kendrick Bourne, and you have Jacoby Brissett as your quarterback or a rookie. You are not doing either of them favors at all. And okay, maybe actually that makes sense then why they're not starting Drake May because he's going to be horrible. He's going to look terrible if he's thrown to that receiving core. I actually respect that move now.
Oh, we've talked ourselves into it. Okay, maybe don't make him. Don't shatter his confidence in year one like they did with Mac Jones. Don't make him into a terrible quarterback because he doesn't have anyone to throw to. But like I said, even if this is what they're going with, okay, fine. Our offense is terrible. We're going to cut Juju because we don't want to pay the money that we're giving him. Got to cut costs there. We want to make sure that our quarterback doesn't get too flustered. We want to keep him safe. We don't want to trade for Ayuk because it's just too much money. We can't spend that money right now. Okay, fine. Your offense is going to be bad. That's how it was last year. What got you through those games? It was your defense. Okay, you were losing games, but you were only losing games 7, 10, nothing. Okay, you were in every one of those games except you were out of them because everyone knew your offense wasn't scoring, but your defense was doing so well. So keep that. Keep your defense intact. Except no. So while we were recording here,
as of
the
20
Patriots, as of 20 minutes ago, the Patriots traded Matthew Judon, a 4-time Pro Bowl pass rusher, for a 3rd-round pick to the Falcons. What a fantastic move, Kadin, honestly. I mean, your defense is what's winning you games. How about we trade away our Pro Bowl pass rusher for a 3rd-round pick? We can't even use that this year, obviously, because the draft's already done. So, it's whatever. I guess we're moving on to next year. We're going to throw this one all the way to the wayside. Don't even worry about this year.
For real. And we just talked about ground zero. You can't get below it. They just did. They're at ground -1 right now. So we don't agree with that move. So in all, our audible for this week, or for I guess this month, well, what are we deciding for the quarterback situation? Are we gonna still say Jacoby Brissett since their receivers are so buns?
Mean, you really got to just honestly, at this point, the audible for the Patriots is tank the season. Like
I think
if they're not already going for that, they really need to. If they want to win whatsoever, I still say go Jacoby Brissett. You probably need to go get a wide receiver somewhere along the line. You need to get a dynamic player on that offense, so you don't have anyone that is a sleepy offense if I've ever seen one. So if you're wanting to win games this year, you need to commit to that. You need to start the guy who's actually going to get the rock around. You need to go get a dynamic player on offense. But if you're building for the future, if you understand that like the Belichick era is over, if you understand that you're now going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, fine. Keep doing what you're doing.
Keep
you're
doing what you're doing.
Job.
Yeah.
Just tank all the way to the 1st overall pick if that's what you're after here. Oh, the Patriots are in trouble, man. Mm-hmm. So that's our audible for this week. Patriots, you need to either get it together or fully commit to the tank. And wait, I think this just in. The Patriots are now officially eliminated from playoff contention. Thank you guys for joining us for this week's audible. Now I think Debbie has a comment for us that he's going to read and get our opinion on, or at least mine, because I haven't heard the comment yet, but I hear it was a little directed at me.
It was.
All right, I didn't know you guys were going to put me on, but
oh no, we're pulling you on.
Okay, here he is. All right, so we had a short last week that we did on YouTube, and it was the clip of Austin talking about his MVP pick last week for CMC. And this is from DMVYN. He replied, CMC is great, but in all honesty, his year to do it was last year, and he probably would have if he wasn't on the Niners. What are your guys' takes on that?
Yeah. So actually, this is not the first time that I've heard someone criticize my CMC MVP take. And in all honesty, like, I understand where the criticism is coming from. Last year was a fantastic year for him. Is he going to be able to replicate that? Who really knows? Is he going to be able to win MVP? It's a really quarterback-dominated award. Is he going to be able to put up the numbers to even be in the conversation again? So this isn't the first time that I'm hearing about it, and I understand where it's coming from, but that's kind of what makes it a fun pick, in my opinion. Who wants to go with Patrick Mahomes? Because if you pick Patrick Mahomes, it's like he's favorite to win it because obviously. My reasoning for picking Christian McCaffrey here is he's been in San Francisco for 2 years now. The first year he was there, he put up really good numbers. Okay, fantastic numbers. But he was only there for like half the year. He was traded halfway through. So it's easy for running backs to get introduced to a scheme. Like, you can kind of throw any running back into a scheme. It's just give him the rock, you know? But then we see what can happen if you're in a Shanahan offense for a full year. You understand the scheme. You understand what's going on. Then you get a year like last year where Christian McCaffrey is able to put up the yards that he did. In the last stretch of the season, he was able to go week after week after week after week of touchdowns every single week. He's able to do that. You go to this year. I understand that it's going to be hard for him to put up the same numbers, but you come to this year. They lose no pieces on offense. It looks like they're going to keep Ayuk. They have the exact same offense. You have Brock Purdy at quarterback. I like Brock Purdy. I like him as a guy. I like him as a player. But Brock Purdy is not a dynamic guy. He's not someone that you're going to keep letting sling the ball around, especially when you're winning, and that's not the Shanahan way. The Shanahan way is when you're winning, you keep the ball on the ground because you can't throw interceptions if the ball's on the ground and you keep picking up first downs. So, this being said, between CMC being a fantastic player, his third year in the scheme, losing no pieces on offense, and the fact that you're in a Shanahan system, I think CMC stands a really good chance to put up either the same numbers that he did last year or even better numbers. I don't see a reason why Christian McCaffrey wouldn't put up the same numbers. He was in the MVP conversation last year. I don't see why he wouldn't. Obviously, a little concerning, like Kadin said, pulls that hamstring. It is August, though, okay? He's got time to heal it. Let him rest a little bit. I think he's going to be okay. Kadin, am I making sense here, or am I completely off my rocker?
No, you make sense. I mean, if there's any player to win MVP that's not a quarterback, like we said last week, I agree that it's McCaffrey. I just don't see it as realistic. I think Offensive Player of the Year is absolutely attainable.
All right.
Like last season.
Fine. Yeah, obviously. I'm picking him for MVP. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to ride it till the day I die, and when he's in the MVP conversation, I'm going to bring it up on this podcast. I'm going to say, hey,
right.
You hear that?
I'll be waiting.
He's in the MVP conversation, everyone. He's at least there.
I'll be waiting.
All right, Kadin, did we have anything else today?
I do not believe so. I hope this really helped you guys with your fantasy drafts. If you're already doing your draft, pause your draft and listen to this episode. If you're in our 32-man league, you're going to have plenty of time to keep listening. But yeah, make sure you don't pick JJ McCarthy because he's not going to play for you this season. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week for our team-by-team season predictions, one of our favorite episodes of the year, which I know we say about every single episode now, but it really is. So we'll see you guys. That one is legitimately like the most fun. So thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you next week.